I'm interested in what kind of tools you need to be that person that you have decided that you want to be. I don't care so much if you are a man or a woman, but of course I'm a feminist, so I'm interested in these topics. And for me, I think on a personal level, it was important to start with these attributes, and very stereotype attribute with the lipstick and nail polish and so on, because I didn't know what I should use them for. Maybe I looked like a boy until I was 30, and then I understood, okay, I can actually use lipstick, because you can do that in a feministic way. I mean, it's very easy to talk about the high heel shoes, for example, because that's maybe the most stereotype object for a person, and I say person, not woman, being an object, because you can't move in this when you're using it. You can only lay down. So you can never be the active one, only the object. But then again, I think something happened with the high heel shoes as a stereotype symbol. It's not the symbol of a person being an object. It's a symbol of a person using that as a weapon. And I think you can see that in fashion, and here in Istanbul you can see lots of these high heel shoes, and it's also a sign of it's aggressive sign, so it's also a way of fighting back. So it's both in the same time. And for me, I start with these stereotype feminine symbols because maybe I have to deal with my own femininity and what that means for me. Of course, it's important with the sexuality, for example. If you have to be able to own your own body and own your own sexuality, no one else can decide. And also what you like and not like, and when you want to do it or not do it. And I think that's sexuality is very included in the question of being equal, because the women are the ones that been abused and raped and beaten up, and of course male can be beaten up, but that's another way. So I think it's important to discuss this question, and it's of course very political, and that's for I also use the object and makes them into kind of more fetish, because the object itself is a fetish, because it can be a double meaning. It's like the weapons, for example, that's an object down in the exhibition. It's a combination of a lipstick, a baton and a dildo. And maybe that's also kind of combines all these issues. It's all about the gender question in society, who's got the power, and also about being able to enjoy your own sexuality and decide when you want it, but you also have to fight back and take the war when it's time for it. So I think these questions are very integrated to each other, and we have to start to discuss this question, and I do it through material and through objects, because I think the objects around us starts different questions and discussions. So that's kind of my way of be part of this discussion. One of my recent work I call the relationship between the whole and the pole. And it started off that I wanted to make a big scale whole that I made with violence. So out in the forest I was using dynamite to create huge holes to investigate how the power of the whole, and in contrast to the pole that we very often see as capitalistic symbols, for example as a high building, as a skyscraper, or a monument over a war. Someone took the land from someone else, which is something you learn to your kid. You can't take your neighbor's stuff, but this still happen. But anyway, so I start to work with the relationship between a whole and a pole, and to make that explosion, and also a series of sculptures. You look good in your hair is I don't know, do you use that in Turkey? Because that's that term, yeah, because that's a way of saying, hi, hello, how are you? Oh, you look great in your hair.
Is that in Sweden?
Yeah, very, very common. It's very common, like, oh, it's cold today. Oh, you look nice in your hair. It's a very common phrase, and I think it's maybe the only part of another person's body you can comment and actually most of them get happy. If someone comes in my arms or my legs, I don't look at my body, it's my own. But the hair is kind of out there in the public space, or it is in most of the world, in Western Europe. But it's also hair. It's also very much an attribute. It's also a fetish in somehow. You have your long hair, you have your short hair. It's like something very common. You can use this as this hello, very nice way of talking to each other. But it's also very, very attached to the body, and it's very much into it. And for example, if you are a woman, if you have hair in the wrong places, that's very, people think it's very strange. And so it's also connecting to that. Who have decided where I should have the hair on my body? If I want it all over it, then it should be there, because I decide over my own body. So hair it's both very public, but still very electric in the, I don't know the English word. Yeah, personal and intimate, yeah. So that's why I use that, because the work, I like your hairstyle, or you look nice in the hair. It's all about how you construct your own identity and how you construct it through consuming. And consuming is something that we're all part of, and it's both fantastic and both very problematic, because it's a way of being a human, to dress and what I'm wearing and how I'm living, but it's also a way of putting people in a class system.